Hi, it's Dwyer. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. BettingAngle.us, a free site. Let's talk about Week 14 of the National Football League, 2018, right? It's the day of the games. It's Sunday, December the 9th, 2018. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. First, we want the big money. Now, what that means is we're going to look outside of this week's games. We're going to look at betting opportunities and mispricings that give us hedging opportunities where we could be on both sides of the bet cheaply. So right now, you have a team with one of the best defenses in the National Football League statistically today, right? The Denver Broncos. 6-6 Denver. They have one of the easiest schedules imaginable going forward from this point to the end of the season. Right? Today, Week 14, you can get Denver on a futures market at 66-1. You heard right. 66-1 to win it all. Now, I don't expect Denver to win it all, but my point to you is that if Denver wins their next two games, they play San Francisco today in San Francisco. Then they play Cleveland, an improving team, but they play them at home, at high altitude, right? If Denver wins the next two games, you can start hedging for profit on the team. Right? You're getting 66-1. I put down $1. If I win, I get $66. So what that means is Week 16, when they're on the road against the Oakland Raiders, I told you the schedule's weak. When they're going up against the Raiders, you could say, you know what, I've put $1 on the Denver Broncos side with a chance to win 66. Why don't I bet $10 here on the Raiders? Right? If the Raiders beat them and my futures play blows up, fine. Fine. I've made, let's say, even money, even though, let's face it, Denver against Oakland, Denver's going to be favored. But we'll just pretend it's even money, right? If Oakland wins, then I win $10 minus the $1. I win $9 on this foray after only laying $1 on the Denver Broncos. The last week of the season, Denver's at home, which would give them a chance to win against anybody in the league if they have a shot at the playoffs. And they play the Chargers, a team that by then might well have wrapped up a playoff berth and might be resting guys who have suffered injuries like Joey Bosa and some others, right? Melvin Gordon, key players, in anticipation of the playoffs. So I'm not sure if any of the teams left on Denver's schedule is going to give them a hard time. But yet the casino's giving you 66-1 odds. You don't have to wait until the playoffs start to start hedging this play. I think you need to consider putting down some futures action on Denver right here at 66-1. Right? I believe this is how you really make money in Vegas. Not on the week to week, but on spotting mispricings like this. Figuring out that the schedule has teams like the 49ers on it, right? The Oakland Raiders on it. Realizing that these are winnable games. That this team has an above average defense. Right? That even the tough games, Chargers, this team gets to play them at home when the Chargers might not even be motivated to play. And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, great. I could even start hedging during the regular season, so even if I give away some of the leverage I have, the casino's giving me 66-1 leverage. Think it through, right? The best bets are bets you don't even have to win to make money. You don't have to have Denver win the Super Bowl to make money on this play if you know how to hedge it down the road. Let's talk about this week's games. The first game. Wasn't New Orleans exposed offensively against the Dallas Cowboys the other day? Hasn't Drew Brees had a few games this year where he hasn't thrown for 300 yards? Right? Aren't you a bit concerned that people have looked on film and have figured out how to slow down, for example, Michael Thomas, who was dominant early, the wide receiver on the Saints, but who has been struggling a little bit in some of these later games? Right? Kind of like Minnesota's Adam Thielen. Right? So, you mean to tell me that I get the home team, the Bucs, and you're going to give me 9.5 points? 9.5 points against this Saint team? Keep in mind, the Bucs are a divisional opponent. So there's a certain level of familiarity with the Saints. Right? They aren't, going to show up and suddenly be dazzled by Drew Brees' passing. They see Drew Brees twice every year. Also, a team like the Saints, devastating indoors, aren't they? This game's outdoors. Right? So to me, I like the Bucs here, the home team, getting 9.5 points. I believe the NFL is more competitive than this line suggests. I like the Bucs plus 9.5 versus the Saints. Next, when a quarterback misses multiple games due to injury, misses them, and then, of course, still, when week 14 rolls around, still has more passing yards than the opposing quarterback who's played in every game, that raises an eyebrow for me. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a decided quarterback advantage over Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Right? Also, divisional game, both teams are still in the hunt for the NFC East title. I don't care how bad they were during the rest of the season. Folks, both of these teams have a legitimate shot at the NFC title. They need to win this game. And you mean to tell me that in a game featuring divisional rivals where there's familiarity, you're going to give me a hook? Not 3 points. I get 3.5 points in this game with the better quarterback and the Super Bowl winning coach, Doug Peterson? Sign me up. I love the hook here. I like the Eagles getting 3.5 points on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Let's remember, Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate last year before he got injured. Right? Forget last year. This year, the guy has more passing yards than Dak Prescott. After missing time, I'm going with Carson Wentz here and the Eagles getting the points. Finally, I look at a team like Seattle. 7 wins. 7. So I'm thinking, wow, the guys in that locker room have to think that they have a good shot to make the playoffs. Right? Then I'm looking at the schedule ahead of this week. A game versus the Niners. A game at home versus Arizona. So I start to do the math and I'm thinking, wow, the Niners and Arizona, those sound like 2 wins. They already have 7. So that's 9 wins. So what that tells me is that if they beat the Minnesota Vikings today, they'll have 10 wins. They'll be in the playoffs. Right? Also, I like the idea that the game's in Seattle, where Seattle is one of the league's biggest home field advantages. Folks, I know we've been focused on Pat Mahomes and Drew Brees in the MVP race. There are other guys having great years. Take a look at Andrew Luck's numbers. We'll overlook Luck last week getting shut out. Take a look at Andrew Luck's numbers. Take a look at Russell Wilson's numbers. Right? Let's be real here. Unlike Mahomes, unlike Luck, Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl. In fact, Russell Wilson has been to multiple Super Bowls. Right? Also, I like hot teams. Seattle has won 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row. Also, I believe that when you're able to sleep in your own bed for a number of days, there comes a time when you really start to get comfortable, certainly more comfortable than the visiting team that's going to be flying up to Seattle. Well, I love the fact that this is the second straight home game Seattle's playing. In other words, the guys are on a winning streak, so they're happy. They've been home. They've been watching their TV. They've been with their families. They've been able to roam around their neighborhoods. So they're really happy in Seattle. I like Seattle laying 3 points over the Minnesota Vikings. Let me also point out, too, as I said earlier in this video, Adam Thielen off to a fast start this year. Lately, I've noticed teams have started to plan for him. Right? His numbers have dipped. Check out Thielen's numbers against the New England Patriots. Well, understand Pete Carroll's a Super Bowl winning coach, too. Pete Carroll's forte is defense. Let's just say this is a league that adjusts over the course of the year. The league has figured out that Thielen's a key part of the Viking offense, and they've figured out how to slow him down. I like the Seahawks at home, laying only 3 points. Let me just say, if these two teams were on a neutral field, I'd probably be leaning Seattle. Now they're actually playing in Seattle, and Seattle's on a win streak, and I only have to lay 3 points. I like that. I like the Seahawks here. So that's how I see it. Let me hear from you, and don't be bashful. Right? If there are disagreements that you have with any of the games I've picked, if there are other games that you want to share with gamblers here online, if you have a site where you make picks and you want to just alert gamblers to the site, I hope you do all of that in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.